Protection Authority and others are responsible to implement the Cataraqui Source Protection Plan. The plan includes policies to regulate drinking water threats across the source protection area. All policies in the plan are intended to fill gaps in the existing water protection framework. Source protection plans have legal effect on municipalities, the province, local boards, i.e. health units, and source protection authorities. Some other bodies are named in policies included in the Cataraqui Source Protection Plan, but they are not legally bound to act. A variety of management tools are used in the Cataraqui Source Protection Plan, including education and outreach, stewardship programs, and best management practices. This slide illustrates the available management options from least to most regulatory. Prohibition, risk management plans, and the related restricted land use tools are new tools under Part 4 of the Clean Water Act. They are only used when no other options are feasible. For example, land use planning cannot be directly applied to an activity such as pasturing and grazing. The second part of this presentation will explain more about Part 4. Permits and licenses or environmental compliance approvals through provincial ministries apply to some activities such as waste disposal sites and sewage works. The Clean Water Act requires that these prescribed instruments comply with significant threat policies and have regard for those policies addressing moderate and low drinking water threats in source protection plans. Similar to environmental compliance approvals, land use planning policies are either comply with or have regard for depending on whether it is addressing a significant or a moderate or low drinking water threat. The balance of the tools are used as appropriate. They generally address moderate or low drinking water threats or complement other more regulatory policies. However, in the limited circumstances where they are used to address a significant drinking water threat, it is necessary for the body identified to comply. Information on these types of policies can be found in the Cataraqui Source Protection Plan Primer, the cleanwatercataraqui.ca website, or the Source Protection Plan itself. Policies in the Cataraqui Source Protection Plan include implementation deadlines. These range for immediately following the April 1, 2015 effective date to up to 10 years following the effective date. Both Part 4 and land use planning policies are immediately effective on April 1, 2015. Generally speaking, operational policies are to be implemented up to 2 years following the effective date. Document updates are required or recommended from 2 to 5 years following the effective date, and research initiatives are between 5 and 10 years following the effective date. There are many resources available to you for more information about source protection in the Cataraqui Source Protection area. The Cataraqui Source Protection Plan can be found on the Clean Water Cataraqui website. On the Resources page, you will also be able to reference the Cataraqui Source Protection Plan Primer and Quick Facts for municipalities. The Cataraqui Source Protection Plan presents policies per vulnerable area. This means that obligations or recommendations for your municipality will appear in more than one chapter. To provide the plan content in a format that is easier to reference, an interactive tool is available on the website. They are a one-stop shop for municipal staff and residents. These maps are simply clickable images that present all applicable policies and supporting information in a single fact sheet. The maps are accessed on the Resources page of the Clean Water Cataraqui website. These resources are all available through the Clean Water Cataraqui website. Any questions about source protection can be directed to these staff. At the end of Part 2 of the presentation, you will be able to screen development applications for activities that fall under Part 4 policies. You will be able to explain Part 4 rights and responsibilities to coworkers, development proponents, and the general public. You will also know where to find additional resources. This part of the presentation will focus on the most restrictive policies in the Source Protection Plan, known as Part 4 policies from the Clean Water Act. These policies address significant drinking water threats. Part 4 of the Clean Water Act provides municipalities with new tools to regulate existing and future activities that are significant drinking water threats. Part 4 policies are intended to address the gaps where significant drinking water threats cannot be addressed by existing planning tools or regulatory instruments, or where land use planning isn't an option because the drinking water threat is clearly an activity instead of a land use, and or it wouldn't be necessary to obtain a planning approval before undertaking the activity. Land use planning authorities must comply with policies under Part 4 of the Clean Water Act. The purpose of Part 4 policies are to ensure that existing activities cease to be a significant drinking water threat, and that future activities never become a significant drinking water threat. For more information on Part 4 of the Clean Water Act and Part 4 policies in the Cataraqui Source Protection Plan, please refer to the Cataraqui Source Protection Part 4 Primer, which was developed by CRCA staff and can be found under Resources on the cleanwatercataraqui.ca website. Part 4 policies only apply to the 3 wellhead protection areas and 3 of the intake protection zones with significant drinking water threats. This includes Sydenham Intake Protection Zone, Cana Wellhead Protection Area in Kingston Mills, James W. King Intake Protection Zone in Gananoque, Lansdowne Wellhead Protection Area, Miller Manor Wellhead Protection Area in Mallorytown, and the Brockville Intake Protection Zone. The Sydenham Water Treatment Plant draws water from Sydenham Lake. The plant is operated by Utilities Kingston on behalf of the township. The water is treated and distributed to residents and businesses in Sydenham to a total population of 940 people. 60% of the buildings in the village are connected to the water supply, while the rest are serviced by private wells. The entire village and surrounding area are serviced by private septic systems or holding tanks. The majority of the Sydenham Intake Protection Zone consists of Sydenham Lake. On land, the Intake Protection Zone mainly consists of shoreline residential properties. It also includes the Sydenham Water Treatment Plant, a municipal park and boat launch facility, a few farms, and part of the village of Sydenham, which has a variety of residential, commercial, and institutional land uses. Part 4 policies apply primarily to the pink area, and in the green area to a lesser extent. Part 4 of the Clean Water Act includes 3 types of policies that apply only to significant drinking water threats. The types of policies are highlighted here and will be explained in more detail during this presentation. A Part 4 primer for the Cataraqui Source Protection Area has been developed and is available on the Clean Water Cataraqui website. On this slide, the image of the Cataraqui Part 4 primer is a hyperlink to where the primer is posted on the website. Please feel free to explore the primer to enhance your understanding of Part 4. Part 4 policies are the responsibility of the municipality where the policies apply. The Clean Water Act permits a municipality to maintain their responsibility or to transfer it to another body such as the Source Protection Authority. Within the Cataraqui Source Protection Area, 6 of the 7 municipalities where Part 4 policies apply have entered into agreements to transfer enforcement responsibility to the Cataraqui Source Protection Authority. It is necessary for the body that has Part 4 enforcement responsibility to establish a risk management office. This means that there must be people and procedures in place to enable implementation of Part 4 policies. People who have successfully completed the required provincial training must be appointed to act as risk management officials and inspectors to enforce the Part 4 policies. For more information, you can reference the related implementation guide, which is available on the Clean Water Cataraqui website. On this slide, Module 1, Establishing a Risk Management Office, is a hyperlink to the relevant implementation guide developed by Conservation Ontario. Part 4 Prohibition is used sparingly in the Cataraqui Source Protection Plan. The Cataraqui Source Protection Committee did not find any existing activities that required prohibition, so only future activities are prohibited from becoming established. As was mentioned previously, Part 4 policies are used to fill gaps where no other management tool is feasible. The prohibited activities have no requirements for environmental compliance approvals through provincial ministries, and neither is there a requirement for any land use planning type approvals. Therefore, it was found to be necessary to manage these activities of concern through Part 4 policies. The Source Protection Committee also determined that for some activities, it would not make sense to establish them in the areas of concern and would be better located elsewhere. For example, livestock grazing and pasturing may be classified as a significant drinking water threat and prohibited near an intake or a wellhead protection area. However, this activity would not be consistent with current development patterns and is unlikely to occur, even if it was not prohibited in the Source Protection Plan. Therefore, the impacts of prohibitive policies in the Cataraqui Source Protection Area are likely to be minimal. Please note that the Module 6 Prohibition image on this slide is a hyperlink to the relevant Implementation Resource Guide developed by Conservation Ontario. The image displayed on this slide is the interface for the interactive maps. The yellow arrow points to Intake Protection Zone 1, which is a set distance from the end of the intake pipe located in Sydenham Lake. Intake Protection Zone 1 is highlighted on this slide. The activities prohibited from becoming established in the future as per Policy 7.3.3 in the Cataraqui Source Protection Plan include the application of pesticides to more than 1 hectare of land containing MCPA or mecoprop, the management of runoff that contains chemicals used in the de-icing of aircraft, the handling and storage of more than 2,500 kilograms or liters of pesticide containing MCPA or mecoprop at a facility where it is sold or used for application at other sites, except where it is manufactured or processed, the handling and storage of more than 5,000 tons of road salt in a manner that may result in its exposure to precipitation, runoff from precipitation, or snowmelt, at or above grade snow storage that is more than 1 hectare.